Our next coach is from the University of Kentucky, the new coach for the Wildcats, Mark Pope. He is a familiar figure, familiar face to the University of Kentucky basketball program. I first saw Mark in the Meadowlands Arena back in 1996. I was commissioner of the Southland Conference. I was actually interim commissioner of the Southland Conference. I will confess to having a master's degree from Syracuse, so I was on the opposite side of that game. I've now come to the light overall in the SEC. He was a member of that 1996 national championship team, and then after college went on to a 6-year playing career in the NBA that included stints with 4 different teams. While he was in the NBA, he met his wife, Leanne. Interesting fact about Leanne, a couple interesting facts. One, when he was working on his jump shot, she was the designated rebounder some of those moments, including, well, great with child. But Leanne, when they met, was living in New York and worked as the personal assistant for David Letterman. We recall, those of us with a level of gray hair, David Letterman's time hosting The Late Show. After his career, Mark enrolled in medical school at Columbia University. That was back in 2006. Changed career directions in 2009, leaving that preparation for the medical profession to enter coaching. Just note a quote from Reggie Miller, who was one of Mark's teammates during his NBA, that described Mark as an outstanding teammate, better friend because he cared about things bigger than basketball. My privilege to introduce the new head men's basketball coach at the University of Kentucky, Mark Pope, with his Letterman jacket that I think he earned. There you
go. Thank you, Commissioner. That was actually a great exhaustive bio. It is true that Leanne rebounded for me relentlessly, even when she was long into pregnancy, and you can imagine how upset she was when I was missing shots in games. So we're working on that. That's all I got. Let's hit it.
If you'll raise your hand, if you have questions for Coach Pope, we'll get one of the remote mics to you. Please remember to identify yourself and the outlet that you represent. Let's start right on the front row on the right.
Ben Roberts, Lexington Herald leader. You guys obviously been together on the court for about 4 months now, a little less than 3 weeks until the opener. What's the biggest challenge, or where do you want to see more improvement in a specific area before then?
Yeah, so we're blessed to have a really veteran group that's got a ton of experience, that's got no experience with each other. And so it's been, since the very, very first day that we were together, it's been a major piece of focus for our guys to understand us and understand each other and try and fit together and communicate with each other. And so that's been the biggest part for us. We have guys that bring in exactly the skill sets that we're looking for in this first year, and it's just a matter of us growing together. And that's something that we've done extraordinarily well, I think, over the course of the summer. I've been really proud of our guys, and into the fall and into banner camp, and then the next step for us is to actually get on a court and play against somebody else and start coming together that way too. And so I think we're well on our way in the process, and we're excited for the next steps.
Next question, front row, middle.
Hey, Mark. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. You can probably guess what I'm going to ask you about. Actually, a two-parter, if that's okay. I covered Jackson Robinson at Arkansas. It seems like about 1 million years ago. I know he's older and he's developed. I was wondering, what kind of player is he? Why is he the kind of guy you wanted to bring to Kentucky? And then I've seen photos and videos of you and Cal on the recruiting trail. I wonder, how would you describe your all's relationship? And, he's staying in the league, but you're replacing him. Just kind of, what do you think about that dynamic?
Yeah, I could talk about Jax for days. We've been really blessed. I've been blessed to coach him now, going on my 3rd season coaching him. And one of the great things in coaching is getting to watch young men just grow. And Jax came to us, as a 2-time transfer with a ton of potential that was unrealized, with maybe some battle scars from difficult times that we all have, that we all go through as we're trying to grow into players. And to watch him become an extraordinary leader, to grow into that, to become a guy that is constantly reaching out to players on his team to build relationships, to see him increase his intensity level with the physicality of the game and the intensity of the game, and to really, really embrace that, to see him to grow into a player that kind of faces every situation with a level of fearlessness, and clearly his ability to shoot the ball and his length. He's a multifaceted player, and it's a real gift for me as a first-year head coach at the University of Kentucky to have a veteran and seasoned, extraordinarily talented player like Jackson who's grown into a terrific leader. So I'm incredibly grateful to be able to coach him one more year, and on a personal level, to kind of finish this journey that we got to start 3 years ago is really exciting for me. And you'll never hear me say a negative word about Coach Cal, because there's not a lot to say. He's a Hall of Fame coach. As a diehard Kentucky fan and alumnus and former player, I'm grateful for everything, all the incredible things that Cal accomplished at the University of Kentucky. And he's also been a good friend. He's been a terrific mentor, and he's always been generous to Leanne and I as we've gone through our coaching journey. And so we wish him the best in everything that he does, and we'll forever be grateful for everything that he did at Kentucky. And we'll be cheering for him every day like crazy, except for February 1st.
Next question, on the right on the far back, and then we'll come down to the front row on the left.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN.com. Hey, Mark.
What's up, Myron?
Big Blue Madness, Rick Pitino comes back. I mean, obviously it was a big moment. What did all that mean for you to have him there, and then just the celebration you enjoyed this weekend?
Yeah, Coach Pitino is really personal to me. You count, if you think about your life, you count on one hand maybe the people that really, really, really change you forever. And I love Coach Pitino for that. I'll be forever grateful for him. He changed the way that I see the world, and he changed the way that I walk into a room, and he changed the confidence that we approach challenges with, and on top of all that, we got to share as a team under his leadership just the most extraordinary of extraordinary experiences together. And he is a coach that also is on the Mount Rushmore of Kentucky basketball coaches, and that's really saying something. And he took a program when it was in a really, really, really difficult spot, and took it to back where it belongs, at the top of the college basketball mountain. And he did it with all of his style and intensity and everything that he brings to the game. So I love him so much, and it was really special for him to be able to walk into Rupp Arena and feel that from BBN. To feel their gratitude. We talk about gratitude every single day on our team. It's a really important part of what we do, and for Coach to be able to feel the gratitude of BBN for him, I thought was really special.
Okay, front row on the left, and then second row on the left.
Ryan Black with the Louisville Courier-Journal. Mark, last week at the team media day in Lexington, you were asked your philosophy on starting lineups and things like that. You mentioned that, well, for us, finishing the game is more important than who's maybe in the starting lineup. But in terms of at the end of games, do you feel like there's an importance in identifying a go-to guy or one or two kind of guys in these late game situations, or do you feel like that allows opponents to kind of predicate too much on one guy, and you want to have five guys out there who potentially could take a game-winning shot?
Yeah, sorry, I'm giving you the same answer. It's going to be both, right? It's both. Actually, both are true. To have some guys that you really believe in, you can rely on, and also have a team that functions together. Very rarely are we a team that plays to get one particular guy, one particular shot in one particular moment. I actually don't think the game calls for that. I think those circumstances are far and few between. They exist, but I think they're far and few between the way the game is played now. Now it's about putting the right guys in the right action with the right decision makers, with kind of fueling them with the right anticipation of what coverage they're going to see and how they're going to see it, and then let them execute accordingly. So that's what we work towards. But certainly there's going to be, it's not just going to be the right guy, but it's going to be the right combination of guys at the right moments with the right matchups where we're trying to steer them into the right actions. That part is very, very important. And you can see all the variables we just introduced to the conversation, right? Kind of the arithmetic of it is to call on one guy and call his number, and the calculus of it is to start to consider all the different variables and actually mesh a group together that's going to function late in the game. And that's why coaching is so fascinating, right? That's why I love it so much. But so it's both. Sorry.
Okay, on the left, second row, and then we'll come back to the left, first row.
Coach, Jack Pilgrim, KSR. What can you say about the strength of the SEC? You're kind of entering it at its peak, and you know, as many as 10, 11 teams in the NCAA tournament. Just what can you say about it kind of going in as high as it is?
Yeah, so we walked into the Big 12 last year for the first time in the toughest league in the country, and you know, as things go, we get to walk into the toughest league in the country now in the SEC a year later. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, I think 9 teams are in the top 25, and it's 40%, you know, forgive my math, it might be a little stretch, but, you know, 38% of the top 25 is in our conference alone. And that's pretty astonishing. It actually reminds me of when I played here 30 years ago. This league was just so dominant. It seems like that's where it's posturing to be right now. And just in reference to our experience in great leagues, I probably had more fun coaching than I've ever had before last year in the Big 12. Is such an incredibly competitive league. Every single game you play is against the top 25 opponent. The SEC venues, you know, is per usual, you know, Kentucky was right there at the top of attendance charts last year, but we have 3 teams, 3 venues in the top 5 in the country in terms of attendance. You go on and on about this league, but right now it is a gauntlet that is to be respected and probably feared a little bit, and all of that feeds exactly into what we love about this game. So we're incredibly blessed to be here in this league when it's so powerful, so strong, and it's really setting the standard for college basketball right now, and can't wait to get to it.
Okay, first row, and then we'll come to the middle.
John Zeno with Associated Press. I don't usually ask questions about coaches' fashion choices.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering what the story, that jacket doesn't look 30 years old or anything like that. So what's the story behind wearing that today, and when did you get it and all that?
Well, we're actually doing you know, we do these photo shoots with our recruits, and so Mark Evans, who is probably the greatest equipment guy ever to live since the great Bill Kitely. I mean, he is exactly the heir to this legacy if you follow great managers in college athletics and college basketball. But he put together a rack for us, for our recruits to come in and you know, put on swag. And I saw this jacket, I'm like, forget the recruits, man, that is too good, I gotta have it. And in a general sense, as an old man, I'm trying to look a little younger, so.
Okay, let's come down to the middle, front row, and then we'll get you. Start right here.
Lance Dahl, Locked On Kentucky coach. I know you and your staff are really big into analytics, so I've got a numbers question here for you. Last year, according to KenPom, you guys were 84th nationally in adjusted tempo. Do you anticipate playing faster than that this year? And if so, does the experience that you brought in kind of help that?
Yeah, so tempo is really important to us. You know, we talk about pace, space, and extra pass, and we're really keen on the thrust of the game, kind of that initial thrust of the game. And then across half court, we also talk a lot about pace in the half court, even on dead balls when you walk it up, and kind of igniting pace in the half court is incredibly important to us. And so we would like to stay squarely in the top third of the country, which is where we live. And if we could get to the top 6 of the country, top 7th, you know, top 7th of the country, that would be really important to us. I think good offense comes with pace for sure, and that's just, you know, the low-hanging fruit on that is transition offense. The more interesting part of that is the pace of your movement away from the ball, the start and finish of cuts, kind of navigating the court where you're overloading certain sides, and all of that comes together, and all of it's really important. Not all of that is contained in that KenPom stat, but some of it is.
Far left, third row.
Andrew Stefaniak, Kentucky Wildcats on our side. Coach, it was very clear to the state of Kentucky that your introductory press conference and Big Blue Madness were just really special events and special moments. What would you say about how the fan base has welcomed you and your team just a few months into you all being here?
Yeah, it's, you know, like, it's just, there's nowhere like it. It just is so unique. We got to see it at the press conference. We got to see it at Big Blue Madness. And listen, there's great programs all around the country with incredible fan bases. And the vast majority of them are in this league in the Big 12. And then there's just Kentucky, and it's almost unexplainable. It is, it's a one of one in that sense, and so our guys feel it. One of the great things about Big Blue Madness is when you walk into a gym for Big Blue Madness, which is a giant pep rally where we all just get to gather and just show each other that we care and how much we care about this program and how much we love it. And you have 22,000 people show up and tickets sold out in 24 minutes for a pep rally. It's just a one of one. And so, you walk in, our guys get announced, and it's like mayhem and craziness and wonderment, and it's so fun, and it's one of those things that you imagine as a 10-year-old thinking about someday playing at the highest level of college basketball. So you have all that, but then you walk out of the gym carrying the weight of it also. Like, it matters. And it matters in a special and unique way at Kentucky. It just does. There's no way to ignore it. And so when you put those two things together, it's really special. And so people have been incredibly welcoming. And this is, we talk about it all the time, this is Kentucky's team, right? This is BBN's team, and our guys feel that. And that's a really special place. We have a collection of guys that really care deeply about this team and deeply about each other, and they've learned each other and practiced loving each other really hard for the last 6 months. And we're going to share that with this fan base, and it's going to be really special.
Next question, third row in the middle.
Hey, Coach. Brad Harvey from College Sportscast. So to elaborate on Jackson Robinson, he is the only player that has ever played for you in the past. Yeah. How are you going to lean on that, and how important is that going to be for his leadership role?
Yeah, I'll answer your question with a story. We did a team retreat to Eastern Kentucky. Still, people reeling from the floods. I know there's been such recent disasters also. And the guys built a couple homes, relocation homes, and did some projects at individual people's homes. And then the last morning, we all gathered together, and in our little team devotional, each of the guys voiced one thing that they were going to really commit to this team. And I thought Jackson Robinson was super insightful. He was really insightful, which he is. He's so intelligent. He said, guys, what I want to offer this team this year, among other things, is I want to be a translator. Not just translating the words and terminologies, helping do that with this coaching staff and with Coach, but also a translator in terms of like how this game is supposed to feel when it's right, playing it the way that we do, and how guys are supposed to feel right about how they communicate, the urgency of our communication, all those kind of little things that are really feel things where Jackson's actually capable of, hey guys, just pay attention because this is exactly how it's supposed to feel, right? And so, one of the ways that he's going to make a huge contribution is being a translator, and that's a real gift for me.
We got time for just two more questions. Let's go to the middle, third row, and then we'll finish up on the right on the first row. No, I think it's over here, right on the end, the third row. And then we'll finish up.
Hey, Coach, James Fletcher from On3. Wanted to ask you, obviously there's a lot of challenges that go into having a completely new roster and so many players coming in trying to learn your system, but what are some of the X's and O's challenges that you've faced in trying to get these transfers and these freshmen to all speak the same language as they come from different places and have to mold their terminology and what they know about offense, about defense to what you want them to be doing?
Yeah, so I've been really blessed. I have a group of players that are incredibly curious. They're veteran guys. They've won a ton of games, and they've all done it different ways. But I have a locker room that's incredibly curious. It comes from humility, right? It's in this place of humility and curiosity, and it's how when you're blessed with those two character traits and you embrace them, you have a chance to grow really, really fast. And so I don't have a lot of guys that are trying desperately to hold on to a way they did it somewhere else or how they've done it before. I have a bunch of guys that are like, okay, like we're on a mission right now to come together kind of under one banner. And so it's been pretty smooth sailing in that sense. I mean, you know, there's habits that have to change. There's mentality. You know, I had an interesting conversation with Kobe Bray, who's, had the most efficient offensive season in the last decade in college basketball in a high mid-major or high major player, of any player in the last decade. And, you know, we got in fights the first few weeks about, like, why are you not shooting that shot? I need you to shoot that shot. Here he is, shot 50% from the three-point line last year. So there are spaces like that where our guys are learning to believe in what we do. And so that's a process, but we have a bunch of guys that are super humble and super curious, and that makes it a great process.
Okay, last question quickly right here.
You mentioned playing outside competition for the first time. What can you learn playing against somebody else about your team that you can't learn at the Kraft Center?
Well, the fun thing is where you get exposed, right? So you play against each other, you're playing a similar style because everybody's playing the same style in our gym, and so you're just hungry to get exposed. So show us what we don't know yet about our team. So we have 2 exhibitions against good teams. We're playing the defending national champ Division II team, and so we're going to get exposed, and we're just hungry. You know, I have a group, like I said, that's humble and curious, and we're actually dying to get in the film room and be like, okay, show us what we're not doing well. Where are the holes and the cracks in what we do, so that we can go fix them and we can build them back up. And that's what you get from playing other teams. And so we're really eager. We're at the point now where we're really eager to go face some opponents because, you know, what we need to do is we need to be a great team by the time March comes around. And we need to learn all that and take in all that information and then learn the principles where we can combat the little holes that we have. And so that's what outside games do.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.